Welcome to CBSE English Tutorial, a visual guide.
All right, let's crack open Lost Spring by Anees Jung. This is a story that really sticks with you, all about stolen childhood. We're going to break down the big ideas, the characters, basically everything you need to know, especially if you're studying for an exam. Ready? Let's jump in. So what's Lost Spring really about? Well, at its heart, it's not just a story. It's a real eye-opener. It pulls back the curtain to show us how things like extreme poverty and old traditions can literally steal the best part of life, childhood, right out from under millions of kids. Okay, here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll get the big picture. Then we'll meet Saheb, our first main character. After that, we'll get to know Mukesh. We'll look at the vicious web that traps them. And finally, we'll figure out exactly why it's called Lost Spring. Pretty straightforward, right? All right, part 1, Cracking Lost Spring. Let's just get the basic story down first so we're all on the same page. So the chapter is basically split into 2 parts. Think of it like 2 different stories that tell one big truth. First, we're in Simapuri, a slum in Delhi, with a boy named Saheb who's a rag picker. Then, boom, we're in Firozabad with another boy, Mukesh, who's a bangle maker. Totally different places, but the same heartbreaking problem. Kids who have to work instead of just being kids. Okay, let's zoom in on our first story. This is all about Saheb, the rag picker from Simapuri and his world. So who is this kid, Saheb? Well, he's a young rag picker. He lives in this place called Simapuri, which is basically a slum right on the edge of Delhi. Here's a key piece of his backstory. His family isn't originally from there. They had to flee from Bangladesh back in '71 because storms destroyed everything they had. So now, his entire life is just scrounging through garbage dumps, looking for what he calls gold. And here's where things get really interesting and kind of sad. This is a huge point, so pay close attention. We find out his full name isn't just Saheb. It's Saheb A. Alam. So what does that mean? Get this. It means Lord of the Universe. Can you believe that? Lord of the Universe. And that's the gut punch, right? The irony is just massive. The kid whose name means Lord of the Universe is actually a poor, barefoot rag picker. His kingdom isn't the universe, it's a pile of trash. This contrast between his grand name and his grim reality, that's an essential theme you absolutely have to talk about. The story also gives us this really cool idea about what garbage actually means to different people there. For the grown-ups, it's pretty simple. It's survival. It's how they get food, how they keep a roof over their heads. But for the kids, for kids like Saheb, it's different. It's an adventure. It's wrapped in wonder. Finding a rupee in the trash is like finding buried treasure. It's gold. Okay, so then Saheb's life takes a turn. He gets a job at a tea stall. And on paper, this sounds great, right? He gets 800 rupees in all his meals, but, and this is a big but, he's lost something huge. He's lost his freedom. That carefree look is gone. He's not his own boss anymore. The author makes this powerful point that the steel canister he carries for the tea stall feels heavier than his old rag-picking bag. Why? Because the bag was his, but the canister belongs to his master. All right, let's leave Simapuri behind and travel to a new place, Firozabad. This is the land of bangle makers, and here we meet our second main character, Mukesh. Now, Mukesh is different. Right off the bat, you can tell. In a town where everyone just accepts their fate, where they think they're born to make bangles and that's it, Mukesh looks the author in the eye and says, "I will learn to drive a car." He wants to be a motor mechanic. You got to understand, that's not just a dream, it's an act of rebellion. It's a spark in a place where all the sparks have been stamped out. But the author calls his dream a mirage. Why? Well, look at the world he's stuck in. Firozabad is the heart of India's glassblowing industry, and it is brutal. We're talking about families, including little kids, working around furnaces with crazy high temperatures. They're in these tiny, dark rooms with no air, and the dust from polishing the glass, it's so bad that many of them start to lose their eyesight before they're even grown up. That's the reality he's up against.
So this leads to a really important question. Probably the biggest 5-mark question you could get. Why can't they just leave? Why are the people of Firozabad trapped in this cycle, generation after generation? What's holding them back?
The answer is this vicious web of exploitation. It's not just one thing, it's a whole system designed to keep them down. First, there's the caste they're born into. They're taught to believe that making bangles is their destiny. Then you've got the middlemen and moneylenders who trap them in debt. And if they ever try to organize, the authorities step in and shut them down. It's a cycle that just grinds them down until they can't even dream of anything different.
Okay, let's bring it all home. We're going to tackle the title itself. This is another classic exam question. Why is the story called Lost Spring? So first, you have to get the metaphor. Think about the season. Spring, what's it like? It's all about new life, growth, fun, color. It's the best time of the year, right? Well, childhood is supposed to be the spring of a person's life. It's the time for joy, for learning, for just being free.
So when you put it all together, the title Lost Spring is just perfect and heartbreaking. It shows how poverty and suffocating traditions literally steal that season of life away from kids like Saheb and Mukesh. Their spring, their entire childhood is just lost. It's consumed by the need to work, to survive, when they should be out playing, going to school, and dreaming.
And that leaves us with a final thought, something you might see in a value-based question. The story points a finger at traditions that keep people poor. So it makes you wonder, doesn't it? What about our world today? What are the invisible rules or modern traditions that we follow that might be holding people back, limiting their potential, and maybe even stealing their spring? It's a tough question, but it's definitely something worth thinking about.
Thank you for watching. See you again in a bit.